morning, my lord. Good morning. We, the editorial crew of this year's issue, we are honored to feature you in our Episteme Magazine, a philosophical publication of the Good Shepherd Major Seminary, Kaduna. Also, we wish to express our warmest congratulations on your new appointment as the Bishop of the newly created Diocese of Katsina.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Please tell us a little about your journey so far.
Okay. My journey from the beginning as a bishop.
Yes, from the beginning, from where? As a son of a catechist.
Okay. To this time.
Yes, this time.
Okay. Well, the journey has been long, I would say, from the time of birth. I would say, the first thing I would say I thank God for is to be born within a Catholic family. Having Catholic parents, father and mother, and then being brought up in a typical, what I would call a typical Catholic home. My father and mother being grounded in the faith, passed on the faith onto us, their children, including myself, and having baptized us in the traditional Catholic way from infancy. So I'll say that is a big blessing. And then having the privilege of education, I say, is one very big thing that my parents placed a very high premium on education. And that is why they gave us, the education that they could, on the primary school level, beginning from a primary school in Malumfashi in Katsina State called Tino Primary School. And then proceeding to St. Joseph's Minor Seminary in Zaria. So I think that formation in the minor seminary was another special privilege that I would say that I had. Going to the minor seminary in Zaria gave me a kind of a foundation to place me in an environment where I could, make the choice of whether or not I wanted to be a priest. So onward from the minor seminary was to the major seminary. I wouldn't say at that time that I had particular reasons why I felt called. And I'm sure even both of you may say the same. But you feel an urge, you feel a very strong desire to go. We're about 33 in the class. And then about 18 of us went to the major seminar, beginning with the spiritual year, Makodi as it was called, and then proceeded to philosophy over there. It was like a movement of friends, because we were very well knit. We had a very strong relationship in the class, so it was just a movement of friends. We moved on, but we know that some left, after a year or two. They felt it wasn't their calling, and then some were asked to go and all that. For me, the urge still continued until the end. I don't know exactly what it was, but all I knew is that, it was just a natural progression, so to say. But I can look back, and say it wasn't just a natural progression, but it was the grace of God that was completely at work, because I never felt the urge for one day to leave the seminary. And I was also lucky that I wasn't asked to go. Yes, as we know, in the seminary, there are so many reasons why people are asked to go: for academic reasons, for health reasons, and for other reasons. But I see it not as something that is from my power or might, but as the grace of God leading me and helping me to progress. So until we finished, became priests, and then started working in parish, and then later had the privilege of having further education in the area of communication, and then later going to teach, and then before the appointment.
That's wonderful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. The exponential rapid development in technology today is historically unequaled to any so far, and the rarity in human development and progression has raised concerns anthropologically, ethically, religious wise. And so, what's your take on this trajectory, with the way things are going and with the way this technology is? What's your take on it?
Yes, it is always the case. There is always fear whenever new technology comes. Whether it is transport technology, health technology, communication technology, whenever there is a new technology, it's always greeted with some fear and apprehension from people. For a very long time, we had, let me make an example with communication technology, because that's my area. When for a long time, it was print that we had. And then later on, radio technology came, and then later on, cinema, and then the film industry, television, came in. But you can, when you look at the history of the advent of television into the scene, you see that so many people were apprehensive of television. How can the image of someone, be talking? There is movement, there is color, and there is sound. So many people were saying that this is an evil creation. This is not really bad. And then cinema technology came, and then, the church was very apprehensive at first, but later saw that it could be used for good, and then it rolled out rules and regulations or ethical considerations for the use of television. And then now we're talking about, something that is more than television. We're talking about social media, we're talking about artificial intelligence. But I think of all these technologies, artificial intelligence, seem to be, much more, much ahead of the technologies that we've had in the past. Artificial technology, some describe as, the simulation of human intelligence. And when we talk about the simulation of human intelligence, we're talking about limiting the human intelligence. We're talking about the imitation, of human intelligence. So naturally that was also greeted with fear and anxiety. There was some certain, there was anxiety, among people. How is this going to be? There was fear that people were going to lose their jobs, because we're not only talking about artificial intelligence, but we're talking about something that is closely related or associated with it, artificial intelligence, which is robotics. So I see this, as a blessing, but also as a blessing, that should be managed with care.
Your Lordship, our theme for this year's publication is the AI revolution in Nigeria. Where do we stand? What is the benchmark? And what is our goal? Many in Nigeria, if not most, hold artificial intelligence as an abstract reality in our context. Please, what can you say about that?
Well, in Nigeria, as we can tell, artificial intelligence is still, you call it an abstract reality, but maybe we can use a different term for it. An abstract reality would imply that it doesn't exist. It would be as if, it's still in the air, and it's not yet a reality on the ground. So it may be an abstract reality for many, but I think also that for those who are educated and for those who who are digitally literate. This is a reality that they use daily. It is a reality on the ground. It is a reality that has come to stay. So we call it an emerging reality because it's yet to be developed,